Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom. Hello everyone and welcome back to Millennial Mom. You don't know who we are from our intro video, or you've never seen our videos before. I am Millennial, this is Mom. Today we're just gonna go ahead and start talking about Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 14, San Diego, No Hug for You. But you know what? I will say that I am glad that they are finally on the 2-week stretch because I'm just ready for them to wrap it up. And Mom, you know, for the past seasons we've been watching Married at First Sight.
Right.
The cabin scene, aka the couples retreat, now that they call it, has always been my favorite episode.
I know.
But this episode wasn't given what was supposed to be gave. I was so sad. Because every season, there's always something. And the only something I got was, I got 3 things. One, Lindy and Miguel. Miguel was tripping, I will have to admit. 2, vibrating panties and sex swings that I did not want to see. 3, Kristen was very comical this episode.
Yeah, she was.
Comedic. I'm like, who is this Kristen? She just changed from last week to this week. So, I don't know. Maybe they did something bad. Who knows? But we'll just go ahead and dive right into the episode. But before we begin,
Yes.
go ahead and say it.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And don't forget about our membership in the description box below. All right, so they have a couple of quick scenes before they're headed to the house. It's not a cabin no more because they're in San Diego, so they're headed to the retreat house.
Then mansion.
2 weeks before decision day, we have I always say that.
You want to call her Stacy. I want to call her Stasia, but her name is Stasha.
So we have Stasha and Nate. They're deciding that they're going to bring some pleasure toys on this trip, to spice things up. Stasha says, make sure you bring the remote so we can show the group members, what's going on. I'm like, okay. And then we have Justin, and he says to Alexis, well, the guys may want to play some board games and just, do things, relax and chill.
Play Monopoly.
Alexis says, no, that's what Justin wants to do. Like, I don't think the guys will want to do that.
Maybe these guys would.
And then we have Kristen and Mitch. They are hoping for a positive weekend because last week they called it Poolgate. How things kind of got out of hand with Mitch feeling like he was put on the spot and Kristen not feeling validated with her feelings. And then we have Lindy and Miguel, who are one of the stars of this episode.
They are the star of the episode.
It's also Lindy's birthday, or it's around the time to be her birthday, and Miguel has bought her a present, and it's a dress. It's a costumey dress.
It's a prom dress, not a costumey dress. It's a prom dress because they're doing a prom thing because Lindy never been to prom.
Then we see Justin, Lindy, and Nate at different times, with their spouses talking about, they hope they get some alone time while they're on the trip because, they've had a lot of couples trip. Matter of fact, they've had a lot of couples trip this entire season. We didn't really see that along the way for, the other Married at First Sight season. So we see Kristen driving and she says, she's feeling optimistic. She's feeling the energy. And her and Mitch are talking about how they didn't feel proud. Well, really Kristen, how she didn't feel proud of how things went down. And she apologizes for that. And Mitch says, you know what? He felt attacked. But we figured that out last week that he did feel attacked.
You know what I wish for Lindy? Because she always says that she's walking on eggshells. And I kind of thought that this was the moment she really, let it loose. But then she backpedaled. I mean, it's nice to apologize, but if that's how you really felt, I feel like she should.
You mean Kristen? We're not talking about Lindy.
You know what I was talking about. I feel like she should have stood 10 toes down on what she said. And then for Mitch, he said something like, oh, I do think you're beautiful. I do think you're a good spouse.
He gave her the affirmation she was looking for. But to me, I think Kristen felt like it was after the fact. But Kristen, you don't think so?
No, she didn't feel like it was after the fact because last week when she was in her confessional thing, she was like, yeah, all Mitch usually does after this is just, give her pillow talk basically. And that's kind of what he did again. And she's like, that's all I ever want to hear from you.
Yeah, but to me, that's still after the fact.
But she was still accepting of it instead of just like, I don't know, maybe she just wanted to keep it cool. I don't know, but to me, it felt like Kristen was being her usual Kristen self, and it's still gonna be the same pattern over again, you know?
So now the group has arrived at the house, and everyone seems like there's a bunch of excitement in the air, right? At least for now. And so as the couples arrive, I thought for sure, like when Nate and Stasha got there, when Nate was like, oh, look at this house, it's so nice. I thought Stasha was gonna be like, this is nothing. I got a house like that. You know, because she's always talking about her real estate and all this other stuff, what she has. So I thought she was, you know, going to be like, bossed it up this time for us, you know?
She's not trying to be too braggy.
Oh, okay. So then Alexis asked the group, so what does everyone expect to do or want to do while we're here? And then Lindy says she's ready for the prom and she really appreciates how Miguel has, you know, planned this for her, and she's looking forward to taking like those corny pictures on the staircase and dancing like nobody's watching, and having sex, you know, because that's what she heard, right? And Alexis says, girl, you're gonna be doing all of that tonight. I'm like, okay, maybe, because we see something different as the show goes along. So as the couples get ready for prom, I thought some of the outfits were really nice. Did you notice that Kristen and Alexis, maybe they knew or didn't know, they like kind of coordinated with their orange or tangerine?
Nope, because the only thing that caught my eye, well, the two things that caught my eye during this whole getting ready scene is one, we finally got the bombshell, quote unquote, that Justin and Alexis had finally consummated the marriage. But the way Alexis was talking to him when she was putting on his shoe, well, excuse me, her shoe.
Right.
She was like, oh, seems like you never did this before. You know, like my bra. I was like, ooh.
You know what? She, to me, has...
She's very gossipy, like the award she won later on.
Very gossipy, and
like,
just,
why did someone need to know that? You know, earlier, like in the season, you were talking about how he's celibate and all this stuff. Like, why would you put her on blast like that on camera?
You know what? I'm starting to think that that's part of her personality. That's literally who she is. She can't help herself with being inappropriate with the comments and stuff like that. So Justin kind of played it off. He's like, no, I was just like nervous or whatever. But you know, Justin, you didn't have to explain this because we really didn't need to know. And personally, some of us didn't want to know.
I mean, look, he was talking about he a tree, he tall, he this, he that. So I'm expecting something else.
So next we have Miguel and Lindy. Now we don't see them. We just hear them off camera, right? And Lindy's like, come on, come take my picture. Come get up, take my picture. And then Miguel is like, wait a minute. Like, don't be demanding of me. I was laying down. She's like, well, I just wanted you to be my photographer. I just wanted, you know, to get me, like she wanted pictures in her prom dress and stuff like that. And Miguel,
that he bought her,
clearly was either resting, wasn't feeling it, or whatever. But let me say this for the whole episode, because I can really break this down, but I won't just yet. Miguel's energy has seemed off, not just this episode, but leading up to the episode. Like there's been something little by little as each episode has gone on. Again, there's already drama, like epic drama for just to take a picture, but then again, we weren't in the room, so we didn't see.
He felt like it was all within context, how she said it, how she brought it up, maybe her mannerism, because he did say a little bit later that she was snapping at him. So, I don't know, but, I mean, to take a picture, I don't know. We weren't in there, we just heard it.
So now all the couples are in the backyard for prom, and the couples, I guess they have, there's yearbooks out there. Well, they call them yearbooks about pictures of when the couples were at their different little retreats, I guess, from honeymoon to pool gate, stuff like that. And the whole time they're looking at this stuff, you can see Miguel's energy. Not Lindy's energy, but Miguel's energy is just thrown off. You know, he seems kind of standoffish. And he's saying that the whole situation with Lindy has pissed him off, like she's gaslighting him. And I'm thinking, okay, she's gaslighting you. I can see it in reverse as well, because Miguel is going, he keeps going on and on and on. And so when they come back together during the prom, he tells her again about her tone and, you know, this and that. And Lindy is apologizing because she said, well, maybe she misread the situation, and says that she's alarmed about how he can just, you know, feel this way about something that's so simple. Like she didn't realize that he, you know, had this personality. But I'm like, yeah, you kind of did.
Well, to be honest with you, what I took down in my notes is I felt like she was apologizing sarcastically.
Okay.
Like, she was just saying sorry, you know, because she saw he was like on another level, like, oh, you know, I'm sorry.
Well,
you know, I asked you and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to say it didn't feel genuine and that's what he was feeling because Miguel was really on edge anyways. It was just that mixed with how she was saying it. I can see how their dynamic was not working out this episode.
Yeah, and so off to the side, did you notice that Nate and Stasha were watching them with attention? They were like in the back watching like the whole scene go down.
Nate was calling Alexis a drama queen, but Nate was in the mix this episode.
So after that drama, there is an award presentation, and Kristen is the main host with Alexis being like the host on the side.
The co-host?
Yeah, and so Alexis, during the presentation, she wins. I guess they all voted for things.
I'll say it.
She wins Life of the Party.
Life of the Party. Kristen voted for herself to be best dancer. But it was really Nate. Who was voting for them? Did they vote for each other?
They voted for each other, yes.
Oh. Lindy, drama queen. Most emotional, I think it was funny how someone shouted out, sound like Nate, Justin. But it was Justin, clearly. Most likely to save the planet. I mean, who else would that be for besides Mitch? And Kristen was like, you know, trash picking son of a Mitch. I'm like, Kristen, who is this girl?
But she said that before, though. She said it before.
No, she was on another level this episode.
Yeah,
another award for him being most awkward. Best all around, Stasha. Biggest gossip, Alexis. Because of Ben and Morgan's divorce, which Nick called her a snitch. Most likely to stay married. Most likely to stay married?
No, most likely to get divorces.
No.
Kristen.
No, because Kristen, like I told you, Kristen was joking this episode. Most likely to stay married, Kristen and Mitch.
No, most likely to stay married was Lindy and Miguel.
But they were shocked that it was Lindy and Miguel.
Yeah, they
and
were.
not them.
Well, right.
But Kristen ended up to be most likely with the multiple divorces.
And Mitch also received class clown. But guess who was prom king and queen? No shock there. Lindy and Miguel.
By default, because Lindy never went to prom.
So now prom is over. Everyone is in their room. Miguel and Lindy are talking more about how things are going. You know, I'm not going to say I was tired of the conversation, but I was kind of tired of the situation. Like, they either let it go or they're not letting it go. Because this just filtered into the whole scene, the whole dynamic. They couldn't get past this. Yes.
Yeah.
And so while they're in the room talking, there's a knock at the door. And it's Nate and Stasha, and they decide to bring over their naughty swing. I'm like, okay.
It's not called a naughty swing. It's called a sex swing.
Well, on here, they called it a naughty swing. Maybe they're taking those things out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
they were getting a little graphic. I feel like this is the most graphic we ever seen Married at First Sight since that blow-up doll.
Yeah, they're trying to spice things up. But you know what I'm letting you know now? Like, we don't need to see the spice. We need to see other things. Conversate how they're getting along and more experts. But just my opinion. So after that, it's now the next morning, and in confessional, all the couples are waking up, telling the cameras good morning, and everybody seems to be booed up.
No one cares about that part.
No, but the point is everyone seemed to be booed up, including Lindy and Miguel. So I found that interesting. So they
of
also
course they were. They still need a cuddle or something.
Well, okay. So we also learned that they're going out on separate adventures for the day. Justin and Alexis head out to a vineyard today to taste wine. Alexis says, I know you're smiling now because you got some booty, and I know that makes you happy. And I'm like, okay,
like
Alexis.
why?
Yeah, why? So, of course, Justin said they became intimate, but when they sit down to talk, you know, about how things are going and where do they think that if they say yes on decision day, Alexis says, you know, she knows there's been sexual tension, so now that they've had sex, there's no pressure.
You think that was her last confirmation that she needed? She's like, you know what? Maybe if the sex is good, I should stay in this marriage. Maybe that will compensate for everything I've been through.
I think so, based off the conversation later on. And then Justin says, you know, he has the same energy. He's happy that they didn't have sex, they make love, because, you know, for him to give up his celibacy, he needs to know that they were on the same page. And he actually told her, he said, you know what, in all transparency, he goes, I don't think we've learned everything we need to learn in these last 8 weeks. I may need some more time. And Alexis was kind of like, what? What do you mean you need more time? I'm secure in who I am as a woman. I don't understand why he shouldn't be either. As a man, I'm thinking, what have you shown him along the way? You know, there's been arguments about the dog and more about the dog and just anything, the way he breathes, it seemed like. So, okay, so now you're on the same page because you had a little something, right? Now you expect him to be back on the same page. Actually, Justin expressed to you a while ago that maybe he needed more time. You know, so I don't understand why she acted like she was thrown off about this.
Because she gave him legs and hips and body.
And
But I feel like he was over it.
And so now we're going to go to Kristen and Mitch. They go play archery. Are they playing archery or they do archery? Which one is it?
You play archery?
Okay. Well, they seem like, you know, they're on the same page. But when they do activities, they seem like they have a good time together. That's one thing I can say. You know, there never seems to be tension when they're doing adventures. So Kristen, okay, she's into sports stuff like that. So she's doing better than Mitch, who is having a little harder time, you know, picking up the archery. And they talk about Poolgate again. And
Did you say picking up the archery?
Yeah.
Isn't archery bow and arrows?
weren't they doing a bow and arrow? They
So
were
picking up the bow and arrow, not picking up the archery.
whatever.
I never heard that before.
Today you have. I think the instructor, I'm not sure who asked them, to write down something on paper for something for them to aim at, to get past, to get over. And Mitch writes down Poolgate, and Kristen writes down the word attraction. She feels like, finally he sees me, like he sees me in a certain way, and we don't have to worry about no more. And then, go ahead.
No, continue. I was just thinking of something.
And then Mitch, he wants to get past the Poolgate and start fresh. So there that is. And moving to Lindy and Miguel, they go on a carriage ride. That's her first carriage ride ever. She's like, oh my gosh, it's something new to write down that we did as a first, right? But to me, that was how we used to talk about how that would be Miguel's checklist. Like, okay, I did this. I did this. Because he's keeping track of everything.
No, my checklist is a checklist of what's bad, not what he's done.
I think it's in general. Like, I've done this for you, because he seems like his type of person that may throw things back in your face. Like, we did this, and this.
But
then you did this,
but there was another check on the list for him during this one.
So while they're doing the carriage ride, he's like, let me tell you my poem, which sounded like more of a rap. And then he said, well,
a rap is a poem.
I know. But then he says, I'm going to put it, and it will sound better if I put it to a beat. And while he's saying his poem, Lindsay is distracted by every little thing. She's like, oh, look at that bunny. Oh, look at that cute dog. Oh, look at those people taking a selfie. Miguel is already frustrated. He can't take her distractions no more. He sits back in the carriage. He's like, you know what? I can't do this. This is the reason why. Pretty much tell her, this is the reason why I'm checked out. And here goes Lindy again. Like, well, what am I doing? Like, I apologize. She goes, sometimes it could be a bird brain. I don't mean it.
Do you think Miguel believes Lindy?
I don't think so. But one thing that he said was, he told her that she blows up all the time. She goes, you think this is a blow up? You think this is a blow up? This is not a blow up. You haven't seen a blow up. So back at the house, the guys are outside, the ladies are in the kitchen, and no one knows where Lindy and Miguel are. But you know what? I thought after the blow up or the outburst, whichever it is, that they would have stopped their activities and come back to the house to just be there and just be on their own separate rooms or wherever they're going to be to blow off their steam, right?
Well, maybe they had something else to do.
Maybe. So the ladies are in the kitchen, and Alexis brings up the conversation about having sex, and was anyone awkward the first time they had sex with their husband. So I guess Alexis was saying that when her and Justin were intimate for the first time, again, she's more dominant in the, in relationships and just in general. And I guess that, she had to take over doing whatever, and she's not used to that.
She wanted to be overpowered, but she wasn't overpowered. She was underwhelmed.
And then she said, so, would it be a deal breaker if your husband, back to your point, if your husband wasn't good or she, at it or whatever, being intimate? And then she admitted that in the past, she would have left a relationship, but this situation was different. So
because she's married, she would have been left Justin. She didn't even swipe on Justin. But is that really a deal breaker for someone?
For some people, I guess it is.
Is it a deal breaker for you?
I'm not in Married at First Sight.
But I'm asking you.
I don't know. I've never put myself in that situation. Because the first time...
Are you saying you always got the good,
No,
so
I'm
you
just
didn't
saying,
have to be in that situation?
I'm saying sometimes the first time is awkward, so you really can't base it on that. And to me, and only in my opinion, and I'm of a particular age now, if that's what you base your relationship off of, then it was shallow in the first place.
I mean, don't you want to be satisfied?
Like I said. So now Lindy and Miguel have made it back to the house. And I believe it was Mitch who asked, like, hey, where you guys been? And I thought I heard someone say, or maybe Miguel said, oh, we went golfing. I didn't hear the carriage ride. I thought I heard golfing. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. So he sits down with the guys and he talks about the carriage ride and the outbursts and things that happen. And Lindy comes in the house, and Stasha notices, Lindy's mood, right? Mm. And it's just, you know what? I think it's just very trying just to have Lindy and Miguel, because the couples have picked up on the situation. They may not know everything that's going on, but they picked up the energy. So it's kind of like shifting the mood in the house where you want to say something and talk about just regular stuff, but they really don't want to, have that energy built back up again, if you know what I'm trying to say.
I do.
And then Stasha asked the ladies, was Kristen really? She goes, so are you and Mitch still taking a break? And Kristen says, yeah, we're still taking a break, when it comes to their intimacy and things like that. But she has a leap of faith, and she's, she hopes that they'll get there. And then she says, so will that make you say no on decision day if Mitch, doesn't come around? Honestly, she was talking to Kristen, but I think it was for all the ladies. And so in that moment, I think Stasha became the counselor. Really quick, we have Stasha and Nate go to the room, and that's when she changes into her, what do you call those panties? Vibrating panties, right. So you know what? I wrote down, they are the freak of the week. They are the freak of the week.
That's what you wrote down?
I sure
if
did.
anything, in my mind was thinking, y'all really gonna do that on camera in front of the whole group?
Well, they did the sex swing last time, so...
I mean, I don't know. I feel like a sex swing is different. The vibrating panties, I don't know. That could just make somebody feel awkward. And then you're doing it on TV. So, you feeling, those feelings. I don't want to say it in front of your mom because it's just gross. But it's just like, I don't know.
It's different.
I guess I see what kind of level you're on.
We see Miguel and Lindy again. They're outside on the patio. This is before another dinner or another get-together. And there's a picture involved. And she wants to take a picture of the sunset.
Yeah, her in the sunset. So she asked the producer, Sammy, to take the picture. And she was like, because I don't want to bother him.
Right.
And this bothered him. And I was like, okay.
It bothered him because she asked the producer, and I think that Miguel thought she was being sarcastic, like, well, let me ask somebody else to take a picture because he didn't want to take it earlier.
Well, she did have that remark when she was like, I didn't want to, bother your mood because I didn't know what kind of mood you're going to be in. So I do feel like that was very passive aggressive. But at the same time, Miguel kind of set himself up because you already kind of made her feel like you didn't want to take pictures for her. So right now she didn't really want to rock the boat, but then she was still being sarcastic with it. So it was just going both ways. So I can see both of their points on why she was upset and he was upset. But then when she's upset, she's starting to laugh and giggle. She's like, this is so crazy. I feel like I'm going crazy. And Miguel's feeling like he's not being heard. And then, she's trying to resolve it, trying to give him a hug. And he's like, don't hug me. So now it seems like he's mad. And she's like, oh, you mad? He's like, I'm not mad. And I'm just like, this is just too much for a picture.
It was. So Miguel felt gaslighted. Lindy was like, you know what? I'm doing too much. I can't, whatever. So she goes to the room, closes the door. She's like, I can't go downstairs. And
she's just bawling, crying. And then he put his hand over his head. He's not crying. He's just like, Lord, 2 more weeks.
Right. So he goes to the room and he apologizes to her. And at the same time, during the apology that we're hearing through the door, he's saying that he felt like when he's negative or whatever in that situation, that he was being gaslighted and disrespected and things like that. And I'm thinking, okay, I could see, like you said, to your point, but I don't think that was appropriate to say in that exact moment.
What was appropriate to say? You didn't explain what was
To,
appropriate
you know,
to say.
either, you know, like he says to her, you either tell me that, you know, you're sorry about what happened, but don't chastise me at the same time. Just tell her you're sorry and like move past it for that particular situation. So then we see the couples, they're having dinner and they realize again.
Well, but no. You missed an important part.
Okay.
Before the couples had dinner, I forgot who Stasha was talking to at this moment, but she was talking to somebody. Maybe you'll remember as I'm talking about it. But she was talking about the intimacy with Alexis and Justin, and she said that Alexis rated the intimacy level at a 6, but you know, she's a pleaser.
Right.
So if her husband's pleased and she's pleased. And I was like, look at her again, just gossiping. You know, she's not telling all the business, but she's leaving little trails for people to have in their mind of like, okay, so this is what's going on. So now we get to the dinner scene. And the only people were there were Stasha, Nate, Kristen, Mitch, and Alexis and Justin. And yeah, they were having a conversation, but during that whole conversation, what was happening on the side of the freak of the week? They had the panties on and Nate was just pushing that button. Now he claims, and I don't believe, that he didn't know how to work the button. It was just going crazy, which I didn't know. It was just pushing, it was just going crazy.
He didn't read instructions?
Yes, he did. He's a liar. He was pushing the button on purpose. And I mean, Sasha, you knew what was going to happen with the panties on. So they're over here trying to have a real conversation. She's moving side to side. And Alexa's like, you got the panties on?
Well, she didn't say anything. She got up. And when she got up, she went to the back. She was like, ooh, I was getting lit up. I'm thinking, well, what you thought was going to happen? Whether it be on 1 or 100. That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, but the girls at the table was here for it.
Yeah,
and
they
I'm
were.
like, I'm sure Alexis and Kristen were. I'm sure they were.
So,
you know?
yeah, and then Lindy and Miguel finally make it to dinner. They re-apologize. Well, he re-apologizes for whatever's going on. And then it's just a big mess with them this entire episode.
And then after that, we have Kristen later on. I don't know what they're doing. They're just sitting down, chilling. And she is the comedic relief of this whole entire episode. Maybe she got paid extra for it. But she decided to to flatter her man Mitch in the shirt that she bought him for whatever they were doing for their date night.
Right.
Say, is that plastic on the table? Are y'all having a serious conversation because conspiracy?
Everything.
I was like, Kristen, is you high? Did he give you something? Like, what is going on? I mean,
Kristen
I
is
like
tired.
this side.
She tired. She said, get it out now so you won't have nothing else to complain about. So if last week was pool gate, this week is going to be retreat gate. So get it out now.
But I'm happy that Mitch was being a good sport about it because
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think he would. But he was like, that's my girl. That's my wife. But just to go ahead and round out the episode, Nate decided to have like a dodgeball tournament
Yep.
with the guys and the girls, just split out on different teams. And of course, one side won the first time, but it doesn't really matter about the first matchup.
Right.
It matters about the second matchup because it was the Lindy and Miguel show.
Yep. They're on separate teams, and Lindy is very sporty.
Yes, because Miss Pro Footballer Alexis was taking out the game, so it was only Miguel and Nate left. And Lindy was on the side with Nate, wasn't on the side of Miguel, so
Right.
she was cheering for her team. And he was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, really, Lindy? You're not going to vote for me? Oh, okay, bet.
You're not
Bet.
going to root for me? I was like,
Bet.
Miguel.
I'm like, and she was like, you know, I'm on this team. I'm on your team, but I'm on this team right now.
Right. I did not understand the conversation. I'm like, if anybody is gaslighting, is you. Everything that Miguel, with his point that he tried to say in the entire episode, to me, in my opinion, canceled out in that scene by itself. How are you gonna be like, oh, these are the reasons why, maybe we can't make it for 8 weeks and you're rooting for, I'm your husband. You're supposed to be rooting for me too. She's on a separate team. It's not like she's rooting against you. He made it seem like rooting against him and just from A to Z. And I'm like, Miguel.
Words of affirmation, Lindy. Just in
Man.
front of everybody.
And then
Lindy's over here crying.
It's hard to comfort her when, in the game instance, maybe the other couples weren't there for everything else, but in this instance,
They were there. They
were
to see
there. It
it.
was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to come. You can always give empathy, but to comfort is a completely different thing. So that was the end of this episode.
Right. He's always calling Lindy Jekyll and Hyde, and who popped out this episode? But yeah, that was in this week's episode.
That was it.
I can't wait for next week's episode so we get down to business to see who's going to stay, who's going to go, and we get to reunion, because usually that's the best show. Mom, any other thoughts?
That's it. Well, that's the best show, and then we'll be moving on to the next season.
So let us know what you think about this episode in the comments down below. If you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video to other people. And watch out for more videos and lives from Madame right here coming soon.
All right, everybody. Thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.